Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever, whenever you're listening to the show. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, welcoming those of you that are listening live and saying hi to all of those that listen to rebroadcasts or the recordings after the fact. Welcome to the show. This is episode 227. And those of you that came in through Spreaker will see the title of the show was Weak or Tyrant or both. You can guess I'm talking about the current inhabitant of the White House. And the subject today is, yes, is he weak? Is he a tyrant or both? And actually, I think he's both. He's weak abroad. He's a tyrant at home. And can't seem to make up his mind what he should be. But we've got plenty of interesting topics tonight. Before we get to the real meat of things, just a kind of a administrative thing. I've mentioned this before, but many of you listen to this show through Red State Talk Radio, the network that rebroadcasts the show. And the owner of that station, of that network, Primo Mondone, is facing some very serious medical issues. Now, he's sort of said before he doesn't want people's sympathy, he doesn't want to really to talk about it, but it is quite serious, and I think keeping in your thoughts and prayers will help. We all know about the power of positive thinking, so please think positive about him. I know it would be appreciated. So, weak abroad, a tyrant at home, and we've got some other things as well, topics beyond that. But, let's start with... I think let's start with weak abroad. And the topic, weak abroad, is really, again, looking at the Russian bear, looking across the ocean there. We found out recently, I think it was last night, that Putin has been doing things which Russia signed a treaty not to do. They were testing some particular cruise missiles, which is agreed in the treaty they would not do that. And so he's basically breaking the treaty. And, well, does it surprise you? I mean, invading the Crimea, invading the Ukraine, that's also against everything that, in the sort of global environment he shouldn't be doing, but he's also breaking the treaty. And what does Dear Leader do? Well, up to now, nothing. It's been, apparently it's been going on for a while, a number of months. It's now been broken. People are talking about it. And our King Barry is still not doing anything about it. So, what's the matter, dear leader? Are you scared of Putin? I think he is, actually, but that's another matter. So, what should he do? Let's be positive. Let's not just say negative things about the incompetent nitwit in the White House, but let's give him some ideas. So, first thing you should do is turn around and reinstall those missiles that you cancelled when you first came to power that were going to be installed in Czechoslovakia and Poland to protect us from missiles coming from Iran, but they would be very useful to protect us from missiles coming from Russia as well. And, of course, that's why the Russians were so agitated about them. So, first thing I would do, I think if you're listening, I doubt it, who would listen to this on the left, but if you are, King, go ahead and reinstall those missiles. That'll send a nice firm message to Mr. Putin and maybe get him to calm down. Anyway, so we'll see about that. Now, next topic. Next topic. Next topic is about the Republicans. It's about Paul Ryan, who came out with a new budget. He's amended his budget. As you know, he's kind of the financial whiz on the GOP. But there was one aspect of it which, to me, was not good at all, and really sort of showed the mindset of the GOP elitists in Washington. So what did he say? He says the poor have to have a life coach to help them get out of poverty. Now, there was an article in Slate, a very nice left-wing magazine or blog, that also said the poor don't need a life coach. But, of course, with it being left-wing, they said America's poor need bigger checks, not a life plan. I don't disagree. I don't agree with that second part, but I also don't agree with the life coach side of things. This shows, as far as I'm concerned, this shows that Paul Ryan, along with the rest of the elites in Washington, are as much big government, in your face, meddle with your life, as the left-wing regressives are. Now, he said he wants poor families to work with government agencies or charitable non-profits to craft life plans. In other words, especially the government agencies. Take that out. If you want to encourage charitable non-profits to do that, not with government money, no, not with taxpayer money, but if you want people who donate to those charities, then for it to be used to do that, all very admirable. But for government agencies to do it, this is just the nanny state all over, and then it becomes compulsory. In order to get any kind of welfare or whatever, you've got to go through this coaching. No, that is definitely too much meddling, and that's not what this country should be about. Now, of course, you see now that, and like I said, especially with government agencies and taxpayer money doing this, it's just another way. So these right-wing regressives are almost as bad as left-wing regressives, and I think I've said this before. In many ways, the elitist GOP in Washington have become as bad as the left wing. The only difference between the two is that the GOP says we can do things better, but still in the same big government way. And that's very disappointing that Mr. Ryan, Representative Ryan, has now really shown his true colors. We were all hoping that he was a conservative, at least a fiscal conservative, and he's shown his true colors. He's not. He's a big government, let's meddle in your life type conservative. Now, if you think about it, this is typical of Washington in general. They just want to meddle with everything. They want to spend more money on doing so. They want to generate more government jobs doing so. And that's not what we need. We want to let people get on with their lives. It's all right to encourage people to take a life coach. You can use a little bit of government money to do that, but that's a hell of a lot less than the kind of money that would be needed to be spent to actually create these coaches. And if you think about how successful all other government programs are, how much fraud and waste occurs in all these government programs, how good do you think this life coach program is going to be? Not very good at all. So, folks, very disappointed in Representative Ryan, and hopefully he's not going to run in 2016, because that would really turn me off for voting for the Conservatives. And does that mean we might get Hillary back in 2016, or even worse, an Elizabeth Warren? If Paul Ryan were the choice, it's not at all impossible. Anyway, we'll see about that. So. And the Slate, it's quite interesting. The Slate article said, even for conservatives who champion welfare, drug tests, and robust work requirements, this is breathtakingly paternalistic. And they're right. It is. It's very paternalistic. And you think about it, it's typical regressive approach. They sort of say, well, wouldn't this be good if we could help the poor by helping them be less poor, by giving them, instruction, coaching, mentoring, how to get out of that level of being poor. So, if you like, the intentions sound good, but then you look at what's really happening. So let's create a department. Let's create a bunch of people that are going to go out and help them do that. So as I said, whether it's government departments or NGOs, non-government organizations that are funded by the government, either way, as soon as you start doling out government money, the waste and fraud starts, and it just isn't effective. I don't understand why we don't all just stand up and say, you know what, Washington, enough is enough. We're going to stop sending money to you. We're going to reduce the money to a minimum, because why should we send $1 up to Washington to have 50 cents sent back to the states? And think about all these congressmen and senators who say, oh, I'm doing such a good job for the state. I'm bringing all this money into the state. It's just another form of wealth distribution, folks. Wealth distribution is socialism. Wouldn't it be much better if we said, well, instead of sending $1 and then getting 50 cents back from Washington, and don't forget, 50 cents stays up there, of which 20 cents is perhaps for the true federal programs that we have to have, the army, right, making treaties, etc. The things are in the Constitution, and the other 30 cents of that 50 just sticks with the elitists, with the people up there in Washington. Remember, Washington and the counties surrounding are probably the richest part of America at this point in time. So this idea sounds good, but it's all wrong, folks, and we have to stand up and say so. Okay, how are we doing on time? We've got a little bit of time. Let's get started on the next topic, and we'll have to take a break in the middle, but let's do that, because I want to get through 1-2 topics. Then we're going to get to the tyrant side of our discussion, and we talked about the weak, and now let's talk. And a bit later, we'll talk about the tyrant. So. Our next topic is an interesting thing I found on the internet, and this is the son of Hamas founder explaining why Israel's peaceful coexistence with Hamas is impossible. And of course, this is very timely. This topic has come up before, but it's even more timely with what's going on in Gaza right now, where Israel is really trying to dismantle Hamas totally. And people say, oh, all these Palestinians that are getting killed. Yes, because Hamas is using their own people as human shields, right? And they forget about that. They forget to tell us about that. Now, so the son of the Hamas founder said peaceful coexistence with Hamas is impossible because Hamas has absolutely no interest whatsoever in peaceful coexistence. And he should know. So if he should know. Yeah, that's fine. Now, people are complaining because the person that made this utterance, Youssef, is known to be not squeaky clean. He's made statements that indicate that he's no fan of Israel, even though he was spying for Israel inside Hamas for many years. And he also bemoans the Israeli occupation of what they think is their territory. That's his right. But if he's, let's say, left-leaning as he is, and he gives us this true assessment of Hamas's goals and methods, if he were really left-leaning, he would sugarcoat it. So maybe he is sugarcoating it, and then it's actually worse than he's saying, but whatever he's saying is already bad enough. So he really exposes the truth of how Hamas views its relationship with Israel and the rest of the world. Everybody keeps telling Israel to stand down in its current conflict with Gaza. That would be a huge victory with Hamas. Hamas apologists are making the same claim. Israel is barbaric and needs to end its vicious attacks. So sending more than 2,000 rockets over the border into Israel, trying to kill Israelis, being indiscriminate whether you kill military people or civilians, that's not vicious? Who started this whole damn thing? And the rocket attacks continue and continue. Even though Israel is attacking, they go on and on and on. They hide rockets in UN schools. They use UN vehicles to move their people. They apparently, their command and control center is built in a bunker underneath a hospital. So, yes, if the Israelis wanted to attack that, they'd have to attack a hospital. And then they can say, oh, these bad Israelis, these bad Israelis. So if we look at what's going on, a recent interview of, what was his name? Mossab Hassan Youssef. He was on CNN, and he said, Hamas does not care about the lives of Palestinians, does not care about the lives of Israelis or Americans. They don't even care about their own lives. They consider dying for the sake of their ideology a way of worship, right? Martyrdom. They're not seeking coexistence and compromise. They're seeking conquest and taking over. And by the way, the destruction of the state of Israel is not Hamas's final destination. Hamas's final destination is building the Islamic Caliphate. Hey, that sounds like ISIS over in Syria and Iraq, which means an Islamic state on the rubble of every civilization. These are the ultimate goals. The interviewer asked Youssef about his experiences growing up as part of Hamas, and we'll talk about that after this break because it is time for the break. And so stick with me, folks. We'll be back after these messages.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
Attention! Have you been in a serious automobile accident? Then you need to call our attorneys now. We specialize in helping our clients get compensated for major auto injuries. If you've been in any type of car or motorcycle accident and you've been seriously injured, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation. Our attorneys have recovered millions and millions of dollars for injured clients. There are no out-of-pocket costs to you ever. We only receive a fee when we win your case. We are available 24/7. If you've been in an accident and been seriously injured, make this free call to our attorneys now. Call the Personal Injury Center at 800-634-1315. 800-634-1315. 800-634-1315. That's 800-634-1315. This ad is paid for by participating member law firms. We are not an attorney referral service. Representation may not be available in your state.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And thanks for sticking with me through the break. This is Stefan, your Patrick come lately, British by birth, American by choice. And should give a shout out to my two most regular listeners in the chat room there, Paul and Edward, or Rex as he's also known. Thanks, guys, for joining me. Good to see you there. If anybody else is listening live, and the statistics seem to indicate there are one or two who do listen to the live show, just come on over to the chat and chat amongst yourselves there. I like to see the comments and questions that may come up, and I'll try and answer some of them on the air. For those of you that are not listening live, of course, you'll have to contact me through other means, and I'll let you know how to do that later in the show. Okay, before the break, we were talking about why Hamas will never accept peaceful coexistence with Israel, and we know, there's so many other things. Destruction of Israel is part of the Hamas constitution. So why would they give that up? And Youssef, the person that left Hamas, was the son of a founder, and he was also explaining how the children are brought up, and this is especially chilling. In the mosques, Hamas told us that without shedding innocent blood for the sake of ideology, we wouldn't be able to build an Islamic State. They were preparing us from the age of as young as 5 years old. This is the ideology that Hamas was feeding us. And honestly, it is impossible almost for anybody to break through and see the truth and real face of Hamas and be able to leave at some point. As you see, in my case, had to lose everything just to say no to Hamas. Today, as I look at the children of Gaza and know what they are fed, I know that they had no choice. And the children from when he left are now the teenagers that are digging tunnels underneath the border and then appearing, trying to kill Israelis, military, civilians, it doesn't matter what. Benjamin Netanyahu probably said it best. He said, if the Arabs put down their weapons today, there would be no more violence. If the Jews put down their weapons today, there would be no more Israel. And that's so true. And even more proof, by the way, came today. Hamas summarily executing over 50 of their own people, not using them as human shields. 30 of them apparently were demonstrating against the war in general and saying that Hamas should accept the truce overtures, the truce suggestions that are being put forward by Cairo, by the Israelis offering to have a truce, even if just for a short period on humanitarian grounds, and Hamas always rejects it. So they took these 30 people, they didn't like the fact that they were protesting against Hamas, and summarily shot them. Another 20 also have been shot for various reasons. It is unbelievable. These people are just monsters. They are just absolute thugs and monsters, and I support Israel wholeheartedly in their attempt to dismantle Hamas and get rid of it once and for all. So that's Hamas. Well, let's get to the tyrant part of today's title. And but we're going to get there step by step. So let's start with the first one. And a recent article, again, an interview of the National Border Patrol Union. One of their leaders, Chris Cabrera, said that there is proof that Obama more or less orchestrated the border crisis, because illegals crossing the border are repeatedly saying Obama is going to take care of us. And that's not just from children, but also from adults now that are coming across the border. Cabrera says, I don't usually get into the political part of it, but I find it odd that their whole thing is, we're going to get amnesty when we get here. Where's my permiso? Where's my permission to go north so I can get my free medical care and my free schooling and all that? President Obama is going to take care of us and make sure we are all okay. Send them back, folks. Now, there have been numerous allegations that these illegals have been coached on what to say. They shouldn't be saying all this about Obama's promises, because that's really kind of messing it up for them. But the coaching that they have are magic words that really point in the direction of asylum or political asylum, or to say fighting in my home country, because if they utter those words, then technically the Border Patrol has to take them away and they have to be investigated, rather than just sending them back immediately. And then we say we can't send them back because it's too dangerous. Who says it's too dangerous? Just them. I'm a legal immigrant. I went through the front door. I paid, or my company paid for everything, but paid a lot of money to get me into the country. I paid for my naturalization. That I had to pay myself. It wasn't as expensive as my green card, but I still had to pay. I did it all legally. Why are we letting these people just come in and on their word say, oh, well, there's fighting down there? Most of the time we know that's not absolutely not true. So, as far as the writer of this article commenting on Chris Cabrera's words, he said, his experience leads one to draw a conclusion that there is collusion between these illegals and the Democrat Party. You bet, folks. And that's very disappointing, but we know it's all happening, but nobody in Washington is ready to stand up and do anything about it. And if they do, Dingy Harry's going to sit on it and just, unless we do exactly what Dear Leader wants, Dingy Harry's going to sit on it. And they used to say Republicans were the party of no. No, Dingy Harry is the party of no, all on his lonesome. Okay, another topic, a little bit off, but it's we'll come back to the tyrant part. But let me, I do want to handle another topic, and it's kind of, it relates to this whole regressives thing. Because it's regressive hypocrisy on steroids. And we know that the border crisis is regressive hypocrisy. Saying that these poor kids are refugees is regressive hypocrisy. But here is another example of regressive hypocrisy. Now, this was an article actually published by the Associated Press, but it was commented upon by a conservative writer who said the AP completely misses the real news in its own story. The headline, which sets the stage for most of the copy, says, Black colleges face hard choices on $25 million Koch gift. What is the situation? The Koch brothers donated $25 million to the NAACP to be given to black colleges to cover scholarships and hardship cases who needed, so people who wanted to go to college who couldn't. So the Public Employee Union, for which everything is political, of course, refuses to support the United Negro College Fund if conservatives also support it. And sorry, it wasn't NAACP, it was actually the UNCF that the Koch brothers gave that money to. Right? So the AP got it wrong because they say colleges face hard choices. Why should they face a hard choice? I mean, this is really stupid, right? So Lee Saunders, president of the powerful American Federation for State, County, and Municipal Employees Union, sent the UNCF a blistering letter that was ending the union's financial support because they were taking money from the Koch brothers. Right? The UNCF Why should they turn down that $25 million? Much of it earmarked for direct distribution to needy students. So even better, we're not giving it to some bureaucrats, some administrators, whoever. It's going straight to needy students. Walter Kimbrough, president of Dillard University, which is a historically black university, had already received about $50,000. He said, I can take their money and use it for good. And it was earmarked for students whose parents no longer qualify for federal PLUS loans. This is absolutely despicable, but it just shows you how warped and twisted the left are. Folks, we've got to take another break. I will be right back after these messages.
Reporting from the eye of the storm. This is the worst weather we've seen in quite some time, folks. And I don't see any end in sight. People have been calling in from across the state complaining their basements are flooding. One guy said he now has an indoor swimming pool in his basement. I told him he needs the waterproofing innovations from Basement Systems. If you want a dry basement or crawl space that will weather any kind of storm, you need the patented solutions from Basement Systems. You've seen them on home makeover shows throughout the country. With a lifetime warranty, every solution is custom designed for your basement. Call now for a free estimate, and you'll never have to worry about storms like these again. I'm predicting this storm front is heading your way, so call Basement Systems and relax.
Call 800-205-8665 for your free in-home inspection, or visit basementradiooffer.com. That's 800-205-8665, or visit basementradiooffer.com.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-750-5371. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-750-5371. That's 877-750-5371.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And folks, welcome to the second half of the show. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, British by birth, but a proud American by choice, just like the Founding Fathers. Earlier in the show, I said that those of you that listen, and that is by far and away the largest audience, that listen to recordings or rebroadcast of the show, there are other ways to contact me than the chat room. Of course, if you're listening live, please go to the chat room, little green speech bubble at the bottom of the screen. At least on my screen, I never listen to a show from the listener end, but there is a speech bubble, and that's the chat room. But anyway, back to those of you that are not listening live. Here's how you can contact me. 2 or 3 different ways in this particular little clip.
If you would like to comment on any of the topics discussed on the show, please email me via stefan@patrickcomelately.us. or go to the show's website, www.patrickcomelately.us, and click on the contact button. You can also write your comments on the show's Facebook page. Just search in Facebook for The Patrick Come Lately Show.
And so that's how you can get hold of me, and I do really like to hear from my listeners, emails, etc., via the contact page. I will reply to you if you send me an email, but I'll also try and answer your questions or your comments on the show. So please do feel free to contact me. Now, we were talking about this absolutely despicable, and I just put a comment in the chat room that this current topic really is the worst of the worst. And I think it really is, because this really shows that the left, like Hamas, will do anything to further their ideology, even at the cost of the people that they supposedly support. So here we have the United Negro College Fund. Black Americans are supposedly supporters of the left. They supported Obama, 90, 100% in voting. How can they be so stupid when the people, the unions that are also part of the left, are doing despicable acts like this? And the despicable act, for those of you that are joining late, is the fact that the Koch brothers gave the United Negro College Fund $25 million to support needy students whose parents no longer qualify for Federal Plus loans. So it was going directly to help students attend college. And the American Federation for State, County, and Municipal Employees Union told the UNCF that they would not be getting any money from the union anymore because they were taking money from the Koch brothers. That's like I said, it's not killing people, but in a way it is, because these young blacks now will not have an opportunity to better themselves. They'll fall into a life of crime. These union people are as bad as Hamas, as despicable as Hamas, using people as human shields. So let's face up to it. Tell your black friends about this. Tell them to tell their community what's going on. Now, why is the union doing this? Is it because they're jealous? No. The reason they're doing is because the Koch brothers, they want to paint the Koch brothers as more of those racist Republicans, white men who are trying to stamp on the blacks. So the fact that they're giving money to the United Negro College Fund to help blacks improve themselves, that's totally against the message that they're trying to get out about the Koch brothers. So in order to get their twisted, warped message out, they're going to harm people that they're supposed to be supporting. Folks, this is just absolutely disgusting. And if you read the AP, of course, we know how biased the AP is. The AP actually makes it sound like the Koch brothers are the problem. They're complicating the lives of black college presidents and the UNCF by wanting to support them. How twisted and warped is that? I mean, that's bad too. So you're saying that because they want to give money, they're making life difficult for those black presidents? No, the union, the left, the regressives are the ones that are making life difficult for those black college presidents and the UNCF. The Koch brothers aren't the ones that are the problems. That's something that really gets my goat, as you can tell. Okay, folks. Let's go back to the tyranny part of the main topic of today's show. So this was a piece that I found talking about how the illegal immigrants are flooding across the border, and of course, dear leader is just going to try and do what he can to give them amnesty, and I'm going to come to that in a moment. But before we get to that, we keep being told, oh, the people want these people to be looked after, and most Americans would allow them in. Okay. So right now, a recent poll conducted by The Economist, that's an English magazine which is definitely a little left of center, and YouGov, I don't know that organization, more than 8 in 10 Americans say the ongoing border crisis is a serious issue. When asked how the situation should be resolved, more than 3/4 say they want to see the illegal minors return to their home countries. Wow. So we're being told that most people want them to stay. No, 3/4 say no, they should go back. Pollsters determined this issue has taken its toll on Dear Leader, whose approval rating has been sagging even before this happened. And so it's going down, 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 down. Great. A majority disapproves and only a third approve. Of the 77% who want to see the illegals deported, respondents were about evenly split between proponents of sending them home regardless of the consequences they might face, and between those who favour assuring it is safe to do so. But that still means a very large number say just do it anyway. And the others are saying, okay, well, let's check and see if what they're saying is true. And do the research. You'll see that actually things aren't as bad in their countries as the left and the regressives, which includes quite a number of Republicans, would actually say. About 1 in 10 say the U.S. authorities should simply drop them off on the other side of the Mexican border, then keep them from crossing back and let Mexico sort it out. Not a bad idea, given that Mexico is helping them to come across the border. Now, the poll also broke down responses by party and ideological affiliation. Conservatives are more likely, understandably. 72% of those on the right say they think the problem is very serious and needs immediate action. And combined with those who believe it is somewhat serious, nearly 9 in 10 are concerned about the stream of these illegal minors. Amongst moderates, 84%, also a very high percentage, say the issue is serious. Even amongst liberals, those who say they are Democrats, the overwhelming majority, 69%, express similar concern. Wake up, folks. Wake up, folks. Everybody thinks this is bad and something should be done about it. Now, when asked what issue precipitated the recent increase, the ideological divide is more pronounced. 3 in 4 conservatives feel that the illegals are drawn to the US based on the belief they will receive amnesty upon arriving in the country. And we've, in the previous segment, I gave you proof that that's what we're seeing. That's what the Border Patrol are being told. Unfortunately, only 14% of liberals agree, so they're drinking the Kool-Aid. Most of those on the left, 55%, think kids are making the treacherous journey to America to escape Central American violence. But folks, there is very little Central American violence. And what about violence in Africa? What about violence in Asia? What about violence in Russia? Do we have to let all those people come in as well? And moderates are more divided to a margin of 55 to 31. They think the perceived promise of amnesty is the most likely cause of the increase. So there we are, folks. Now. Alarm, alarm, alarm. Because in spite of the fact that the country thinks that this is serious and something needs to be done, Dear Leader is planning, there are rumors coming out of Washington, Dear Leader is planning to do something very, very drastic, very, very unconstitutional. There are rumors that he's going to sign an executive order that will give amnesty to 5 million illegals currently in the country. Now, big question, why 5 million? The current estimates are between 11 and 20 million illegals are here, so where is he going to draw the line on that 5 million? Is it going to be people who've been here for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Is it going to be his friends, his cronies, right? People chosen by La Raza? Is he going to be giving amnesty to MS-13 folks, letting enough in as illegal minors right now? This is absolutely unbelievable. If he does that, I've seen some commentators, and I'm leaning towards agreeing with them, that Dear Leader is actually trying to get impeachment because he thinks politically he can win from impeachment and rally his base for the 2014 elections. So I think it's very good of Boehner to say, no, we're not going to do any impeachment now for 2014, but after the elections and when we win the Senate, because really we have to do it, then we can do impeachment, and that will really change things. And will it be a constitutional crisis? If we have that amnesty, if we let all these illegals in, that's going to be a constitutional crisis. So stop whining, you moderate people. We have to do something. Okay, folks, I'm going to take a break so I can calm down, get my blood pressure down, and while we have that break, of course, it is time for us to have some more messages. So, folks, stick with me. I will be right back.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
Boy, man, I had a rough night's sleep. Boy, whew, I got a letter from the IRS yesterday and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the Tax Doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the Tax Doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. Again, 800-917-8546.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And folks, thanks for sticking with me. We're into the final segment of the show, the final quarter of the show. Been talking about this threat of executive order to give amnesty to over 5 million illegals. If this is totally unconstitutional, so there are reports that the phone lines in Washington have been melting. Let me beg you, let me ask you, please, call the White House, call your legislators, call your state legislators, call anyone you can, and say, we do not want this to happen. We need to raise as much ruckus about it as possible and make sure that Washington is very aware that we will not take such an unconstitutional act, and they should do something about it. I mean, this is just absolutely unbelievable. And as I said before the break, I agree very much with other commentators, or some commentators, that I think King Barry is just trying to push the envelope and try and get impeachment proceedings going on so that he can use that to rally up their base. They're already putting out emails to their to Democrats saying, you've got to give us money because the Republicans want to impeach our president, and we've got to fight that. And the only way we can do that is make sure that we keep the Senate and maybe win more seats in the House. Well, folks, forget about it. You're not going to win more seats in the House. I think there's a very good chance we will take the Senate. It's unfortunate we won't get the supermajority. But then again, we might. There are all sorts of signs. For example, I think it's Maryland. Governor Malloy is facing an election, and the Republican that's running against him apparently is 9 points ahead right now. So Maryland's a fairly blue state, and yet a Republican leading there. man, that has to be writing on the wall for the Democrats. Things are going to go badly in November for them. But we can't rest on our laurels, folks. You need to get out there. You need to get with your local parties. You need to GOP. I know I don't like the GOP establishment, but we need to get the GOP candidates in there so we've got the power. So get out there, get with your local GOP party, start knocking on doors. Some information was released this week about Michelle Nunn's campaign. She, of course, is running for Senate. She's the daughter of Sam Nunn, so another political dynasty here, which I think is really bad. But anyway, apart from that, she's also a Democrat. And somebody leaked her a lot about her campaign plan, how they were going to, approach things. One of the things was you got to approach blacks as being people to help get out the vote, and then also as voters, whereas Jews you approach for money. I mean, it was so racist, unbelievable. And also there was a lot about the charitable fund that she is CEO of, which has been giving money to questionable groups of Arabic origin that have connections to groups like Hamas. And while she's not directly connected with Hamas, giving money to organizations that support terrorist organizations doesn't look very good on your resume. So it's going to be interesting to see how David Perdue, who won the Republican runoff last week, how he actually takes this information and uses it. But the other one, like I said, the other one, how racist, they're actually dividing people up into groups. We know regressives do that, but to see it in black and white is just, to me, actually sickening. Don't look at the color of the skin, but think about the content of their character. And, if we're going to be dividing people into groups there, how the Jews can continue to give money to the Democrats when they see what the Democrats are doing to Israel, I just can't believe. Kerry's making such a mess of things, making such enemies. I mean, Israel, Netanyahu, Israeli newspapers, Israeli politicians are all basically saying F you to Kerry, and he's just making absolute mess of things over there. But, you've got this incompetent bunch of yahoos in the White House and the court jesters that surround King Barry. What else can you expect? It's it really is disappointing that we voted him back in, or we voted for King Barry twice, because now we really see how he has undermined America and made such a mess of it. He told us he was going to fundamentally transform America, and he has done so. He's just made it a second-rate banana republic compared to what it was before. We need another Ronald Reagan, and we need to let our friends in Washington know that there is something wrong. And by the way, Ronald Reagan. Let's finish up with Ronald Reagan very quickly. Here's something very interesting that he said.
And this idea that government is beholden to the people, that it has no other source of power except the sovereign people, is still the newest and the most unique idea in all the long history of man's relation to man. This is the issue of this election. Whether we believe in our capacity for self-government, or whether we abandon the American Revolution and confess that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives for us better than we can plan them ourselves. You and I are told increasingly we have to choose between a left or right. Well, I'd like to suggest there is no such thing as a left or right. There's only an up or down. Man's old age dream, the ultimate in individual freedom consistent with law and order, or down to the ant-heap of totalitarianism.
Okay, folks, it's there's the music. Say goodbye. Hope you enjoyed this week. Join me next week, and remember, please tell your friends about the show. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patriot Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.